Hey man, so they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's poison though. Then the antidote becomes the most important meal. Yo,
Yep.
what's going on, everybody? How we doing today? Welcome to the channel. My name is Mitty80,
I'm Chief Rex.
and welcome into ADH Dads. We are episode 2, baby. Yeah.
Come get it.
Yeah.
Come get it.
Welcome back. Thank you all for coming in. Thank you for supporting the podcast. And if you haven't listened to any of our older episodes, they are up on YouTube and Spotify as of right now. So go check them out. I think there's some funny stuff in there. I think we're funny.
At least a few minutes of it.
I think you can find a chuckle.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So welcome back.
First
season of betterment, right?
First question.
Yes.
Yeah. On that topic.
Yeah. How did you better yourself this week?
Okay. See, I was talking.
Oh,
I'll
sorry. All right,
ask
you go ahead. Nope.
What's yours? Hey, man. What'd you do this week?
Dude, I had a pretty
What'd
good
you
week.
get
I had a pretty good week. So I made it a goal of mine to hit my step goal every
And what was that
every
step
day.
goal?
It's set to like 6,000. It's defaulted on the watch or whatever. But 6,000 steps, that's something, right?
So you went and got the mail a couple times.
Yeah, in one
Nice.
day.
Good for you, dude.
No, dude. So like it's been kind of cold outside, and because I'm home watching the kids, I set up like a little thing that I just run in the house, so I'll run around and have the kids chase me. So hit it there. Wednesday we worked out at wrestling practice, had a good like 30, 45 minute just straight cardio, working out, wrestling.
Yeah, that stuff's...
Yeah, I was you work out so hard, you get tunnel vision like you're going to pass out. But have you ever got hit in the head and you get white stars? It was a combination of both. So after that workout, I was literally sitting there and it was just white, ooh, and I was like, oh boy, we pushed it today. But not only that, but then I lifted. I want to say I lifted, I think 4 days this week or 3 days this week because I was really sore on Thursday after wrestling. So yeah, didn't do that. But we lifted every day. We got after it, dude. Just little workouts here and there. What about you? What did you do?
What did I do? I did the similar route. I didn't no steps or anything, but I did I worked out. I put together this thing in Google Sheets. Did a couple of YouTube videos on how to create a button basically that generates off a list that I created with all of the workouts and things. And I just, it's kind of cool. It's kind of I don't know if I want to divulge everything, but I kind of
for sale.
Not yet.
Free 99.
Maybe if we get there. But it's kind of inspired by D&D because we're it's just the stuff we like to do. But I did it where you start with a D4 roll and then that sends you down this whole tree of stuff, and then I have the workout generator, and then you don't know what you're going to be doing that day, but as you click through and you roll for initiative is kind of the
dude. That's
the
awesome.
deal. And so I created.
It sounds fun.
Yeah, I had like 10 to 15 workouts every other day. I did Monday, Wednesday, Friday. In the meantime, I was resting, make sure we got enough sleep. That's always been a hard thing for me. I'll stay up way too late.
I mean, if you stay up way too late, I definitely.
Yeah,
because
most of the time I'm with you.
Yeah,
so
but you're way too late. Like you're in bed, you're like, oh guys, it's 11. I really got to go to bed. And then you go to bed. Me, sometimes I'll stream until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, and that's just because I got the kids in the morning, work, all the other stuff. But if I could just tweak that a little bit more to be up to like 2 and then sleep until 10 and then go to work.
Yeah, but I don't sleep until 10
amazing.
though.
I know.
I don't sleep till 10.
That would be ideal.
I'll go to bed at 2:33, but then I have to be up by like 7:30. To get Ollie ready for school, cook breakfast for the kids, change the diapers, and then when Mavis is up, there's no napping, man.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, I don't know if you've met this little girl, but she is a demanding little
few times.
turd.
Yeah, a few times met her. We're associates.
Yeah, you're pretty
we know
cool.
Of each other.
Yeah, we're pretty cool.
We know of each other.
Yeah, but yeah, she is a demanding little turd ball.
No, we so with that working out, since I made it a commitment of and trust me, by because I'm working out hard, sore. If there was something I didn't want to do, there was, I think, Thursday, halfway through Wednesday, and then Friday, because I was still sore. I don't really do a lot of lower body, so my ass, my legs, everything was so bad. And I'm foam rolling, just crying on how bad it hurt. So then yesterday, I get home, and it was a long day, long week, long everything, and I'm like, we don't have to do this workout today. But you know what I did? I was like, nope. Fucking Mitty's doing his workout today. I'm doing my workout today. Let's get it done. So I generated my workout, had it out, just start hammering out. All of a sudden, my wife comes in. She's like, Jackson's just being a lot. He needs to figure this out. He's fighting with this, whatever. And so I looked at him and said, you with me. I put a switch away, did everything, put everything away, and he comes in and he's just like, what? And he's got just this little attitude for a 6-year-old, pissing me off. And I go, you're going to be doing what I'm doing today. And he's like, well, what are you doing? Are you working out? I'm like, yeah, we're working out. 10 push-ups, let's go. And so then I watched him do his while I'm doing it as part of mine. And then I kind of like veered from my workout. I was like, all right, sit-ups. So I held his legs, and he has got no abs. So he just was like,
he's just laying flat,
just like trying to like get it. And then he just grabs his knees and he pulls himself up, and he's doing it. I'm like, that's cheating, but I'll allow it.
I'll allow it.
And then I go, we're gonna do burpees, and he's like, what's that? I go, start running. And so he started jogging in place, and then I'm like, drop down, come back up. So we did that, but he was like kind of half-assing those. I'm like, nope, I want your belly to touch that ground. And then after like three movements, he started being like, this is really hard to have. And he started like whining and crying. I'm like, I don't care. You're going to give me attitude. You're going to give mom attitude. You're fighting with your sister. You're going to do all this. This is what we're going to do now. This is Dad's realm. This is what we're going to do. So then we ended up doing jumping jacks, mountain climbers, like all the things I can, like just little plyometric stuff I can think to like wear them out. And then afterwards, I do have a little punching mitts and stuff. So they're big. They're not for little kids, but they can get their hands in them. And I'm like, all right. And he's just sweating. He's got sweatpants on and stuff. And he's like, can we be done? And I go, we going to argue anymore? We're going to fight? He's like, no more. And he just looked like tired. And I go, all right, you want to do some punching? And he looks, he goes, yeah. And so then he goes and grabs him. And I'm sitting there. I go, what do you want? I go, you pick your workout. What do you want to do? And he's like, I just want to punch really hard with this hand. And he's right-handed. So he's like, with this hand. And I go, that's fine. Where do you want to punch? And he's like, put it right here. So I have him training. I don't know a whole lot, but I know like stance stuff and basics. So like
just watch some Rocky.
Yeah, I mean it's and he's just like here, and then I have him like push and like, oh god, we're good. Drive through, and he was just that's all he did. So he did like 20 on that side, 20 on the other side. He's like, all right, Dad, I'm done. I feel my muscles getting pretty big, and I'm like, oh okay, go ahead. So then we put it away and. Later that night and today, he's been an absolute peach. So there's the secret.
That's awesome, though. That's awesome because Ollie, like, even if I've ever been like, all right, good, go run. You're just going to run. He'll just be like, okay, cool. And he'll do, like, 20 laps around, like, from the island to the back of the couch, you know, around the living room, all the way back to the island. And he'll just sit there and do that and be like, this is nothing. You think I'm tired from this, you know? And I was like, yeah. But, like, he takes on those challenges. Like he's like, I want to work out with you. I want to. There was one day I remember I was like, I'm going for a run, and it was summer, and it was probably I think the worst day of summer. It was like 96 degrees outside, but like 100% humidity. No. So like it was like you stepped outside, you couldn't breathe. You were like, right, and it sucked. And I was like, I'm sticking to this. I really want to run. I'm gonna run. Ollie's like, yeah, I can run with you. I'm like, I don't think you can run with me, dude. He's like, yeah, I can. I'm like, you want to run with me? All right, let's run. He's like, can I bring my water bottle? I'm like, we're not bringing a water bottle on the run. All right, we're just going to do this run. We'll come home. We'll get all the water you want, right? And before everybody attacks me in the comments and stuff like that, it's not like I was putting him on a 12-mile run with no water. We were going 1 mile.
We wouldn't care if you were.
You know, some people would be like, oh, terrible parenting. Don't give him water. But I was like, we're going for a mile, and then we're coming back, you know, whatever. And I had the route mapped out, so it's like you come out my front door, you hit that first block, you take a left all the way down. And then you come all the way.
Talk about the end. Go.
Yep. So you come out here, take a left, take all the way down to where it's blocked off there, and then back. Like that's half a mile all the way down, and then all the way back. So I was like, all right. I was like, you ready? He's like, yeah, I can run with you. I can run. I'm like, all right, perfect. We get outside, shoes on. I'm like, closing the door behind me.
He's like, go, and then just leave him.
No, he kind of did that to me. He goes, I was like, all right, you ready? I was like, we're gonna walk down. I was like, well, we're gonna walk down to the sidewalk over there across the street, you know, or rolling out my shoulders. I don't know why I roll my shoulders when I run, but I feel like
do you run with your arms?
I mean, you kind of.
You throw a gallop in there like a horse girl.
Maybe. No, rolling out my shoulders, like. High kicking, like pulling my, stretching the quads and everything.
Do the Goku like.
And then I set the right? I set the timer on my watch. I'm like, all right, ready? Like, let's go. And he takes off, just boom. He's like, I'm beating you, Dad. I'm like, you won't be beating me for long. I was like, all right, keep it up, buddy. So I was like guiding him, and he made it halfway before he was like, Daddy, I'm really tired. Like, can we stop? I'm like, nope. I was like, and I mind you, my pace went from my normal running pace to like little bitty steps to keep up with him or
Sure.
stay just in front of him to make him keep up with me. And I'm like, nope, bud, come on, and I'm drenched in sweat because it's disgusting
Hot as
outside,
balls,
disgusting. And I'm
the
like,
devil's
come on.
asshole, as they say.
So we get to the halfway point. He's like, can we go home? I'm like, yep, we're gonna turn around and go home now. And like, he got a second wind right there, but like, he like took that challenge on, and like he ran the entire mile. We get home and he's just, like drops down and like sits, but like. He's like weird like that. Like he wants to. I want to work out. Like I want to lift weights with you. What are we doing today?
Well, and see, for him, I wanted to put him through. I didn't want him to decide, and I wanted him because the ultimate goal is to get him in there working with me. Like want him to do it. But that's why I was excited at the end that he was like kind of like, well, I kind of want to do just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Even though he's tired now, he wants to do a little bit more. And like when it comes to running, he loves to run.
Yeah,
so
you were
we'll
saying he was running with the like upper grades or something.
Yeah, the
like
cross
that.
country.
Yeah.
They had a little. I don't know what you call it, a little circuit thing where they took the kids and the kids little ones did a 1K, like second to fourth graders did like a 2K, and then middle school did a 3K, and then the high schools did a 5K. And then it was just like a workshop day to kind of get kids involved and whatever. And I know the coach pretty well. He's actually my chiropractor. And so he ran the one, and he's like, that wasn't hard. I'm gonna do the next one. So then he ran the 2 and the 3K. After, and then the big kids the high school kids were gonna go, and and they were like, no, we're not gonna have you run with the big kids, but good job, buddy. He was like, oh, pumped.
Was Mel a runner?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So Mel
maybe
that's all she was. Yeah.
Maybe he inherited like her lungs or something because he can go.
Hope so.
That's one thing. Like, I know Ollie got for me is just his like nonstop go. As a kid, and then he got from Brienne her bad allergies, and because mind you, after that run that we did. Not only did he ran the whole thing, like I said, I was very impressed. He comes in just, kind of puffy, like snotty for like 3 days after that kind of thing. But
because we've talked about that. I mean, it's part of the podcast. Our kids both, there's definitely ADHD that has transferred down, but you can tell it's in different aspects. Like my daughter's incredibly creative, like that way, loves to really sit down and do like little tedious things or whatever. Jackson has no bearing in that, but he could zone out and do, he knows so much about like, he just learns really fast with, like, the Pokemon stuff and like watching TV shows and how to do things. Like he's so interactive that way. And then, but I just wish he was, I wish he was a little bit tougher because I played like football, basketball, a lot of team sports where you're going to get pushed around a little bit. There's going to be somebody that beats you and stuff. He just wants to race. That's all he wants to. He doesn't want, he doesn't like to push around. He played flag football this year. And, of course, some kids, they don't control themselves. And he got speared a couple times just on accident. They're not running very fast. But, geez, you saw him hit the grass, and you thought I fucking rolled him in a gravel parking lot. I mean, he came up just like, oh, my God. Like, I'm just he's not bleeding. Nothing's wrong. And I'm like, dude, it's grass. Like, it's comfy. It's not that bad. It wasn't like a cold day or anything. It was like fall. Grass. It was beautiful. And he doesn't have that like tough gene, but my daughter does. If she gets like,
dude, Mavis is pretty tough. Ollie, I would say Ollie's pretty tough, but like, I don't know. I got to the point yesterday where, because Mavis will just walk up out of nowhere and just walk him and just smack him and walk away, and I'm like, Mavis, and he'll be like, Dad, May hit me, and I'm just like, I got to the point yesterday because it's always like, okay, like why did she hit you? Like walk away, or like, just stop her from hitting you. You can stop her hand from hitting you or whatever, and then walk away, kind of thing. But don't hit her back.
Yep.
Right. And so yesterday got to the point where she just kept smacking him. So I was like, Mavis, knock it off. And then he would just whine about it. Like, she just hit me. I'm like, are you bleeding? Are you hurt? Is something broken? Well, no. And I'm like, then figure it out. I was like, don't tell me when she hits you anymore. I was like, I'm sitting right here. I can see it happen. Like, I'm at the point now where I'm like, what do you do? What are you supposed to do if she hits you? Well, tell you. I'm like, okay, we're past that. Yeah. What do you do? Like, put an arm up, block something.
Yeah. At some point, they got to start figuring out their own little.
Yeah, Mavis is
tough. Well, it's two people. It's dichotomy. Is that what it's called? I don't know.
Probably
the hierarchy.
However, two, right?
Yeah. So, however, like they figured out. At some point, I mean, you have 4 kids in your family. I was 3.
I was top of the food chain.
Wow.
In my house,
I was.
I was the second born, but I definitely, I was the pack leader. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was just the oldest, but. Because trying to control my sister is insane, and then brother and I are pretty chill. Yeah. Well, yeah. Plus, being the only girl, But either way, yeah,
Right.
I mean, they're kind of at some point they just got to figure out who does what what everybody's aspects are, and then just kind of know, hey, you can't come with all these little issues, because we've seen it now at school a couple times where like not anymore. It was more last year in 4K where like somebody tell him he doesn't want to talk to him or whatever, and he just like it ruins his day.
Right.
And you're like,
right.
dude,
Yeah.
you're like, hey man, there's gonna be a lot of people that don't want to talk to you in your life. Just we got to start getting past that. Just be like, okay, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. Move it on. Don't let it bother your day.
Right. Right.
But like Arya could just be like, I don't want to talk to anybody anyway. So she is fine. She's short-term memory. He just is like, well, remember like last summer when he said he didn't want to like hang out with me on the playground that one time? Remember that one time? I'm like, dude, I don't, and I don't care.
That's like for my birthday when we came back.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, well, when I was 3, mind you, this is 3 years ago, and this is a 6-year-old. When I was 3, I tried cake, and I remember that I really didn't like cake at that time, so I'm probably not going to like cake now. So, but I mean, like, he goes through the whole, like, rationalization and reasoning behind it.
But it makes no sense.
No.
Like, it's,
No.
it's a good attribute, but we need the right logic and context to make it work.
No. But cool, like Ollie's been talking about wanting to get into wrestling.
Yeah, see.
So I'm like super pumped because with me coaching at the high school and stuff like that, they have youth program there twice a week. And I was talking to the coaches and I was like, he's only 4. It's not, and out here it's like you pay the club fee and then he goes to every practice. I'm like, can I just bring him to like 1 or 2 or 3 or something? Just let him try it out, right? Because I don't want to pay the club fee and then have him wake up after day 1 and be like, I don't want to do that. It wasn't fun. And they were like, yeah, just bring him by. So it's cool. Like I get to bring him by, just have him just try it, just see where he's at. But I think he's at that perfect age because right now when he comes up and he's like, let's wrestle, and like I'll knock him down and do stuff, and he laughs about it.
But you actually know wrestling technique and stuff. Whereas like for me, like to play football and basketball, I mean, there's just so many more rules of the game and like how it's played and things like that. Where like,
well, there's a lot of rules to wrestling.
No, but I'm saying like technique wise. Yeah. Like you could just say like, all right, come in here. This is where we start, and then within 2 minutes, you could teach me 10 different things that like how you could move somebody and transfer somebody, but that's such a hands-on thing.
Yes.
I mean, for me, it's like if I was basketball, it's like, okay, I can tell you how to dribble, but then it's like, okay, now you got to shoot a basketball. Okay, I need a basketball hoop. Okay, and then on the court, you got to stay in bounds. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have a court. So like, there's like other attributes. Like football, we can play catch. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But then you're not really.
You're working hands, hand-eye coordination.
Like it's more of a skill-based like that
throwing
way. Whereas
power.
like I want more of that.
Wrestling,
that
if you have that person one-on-one, like I guess you can get a lot more like from that. Like okay, I'm gonna shoot like this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna finish here. I'm gonna.
Well, I mean, you can play catch with those bounce back things. You know what I mean?
Like they do have
a
that
lot
football
of things.
now. I did think that was kind of cool.
So it's like you could do that stuff, but like. To physically, like, I think that's such an important thing. Because I wrestled with my siblings and stuff. And I wrestled with, like, buddies and stuff because it just kind of, wrestled a lot. But not, like, actual wrestling like you did. But either way, like, to know your strength versus somebody else's. And to know, like, that I feel is very important for, like, young boys.
You learn how to use, like, momentum, too. Like, so, like, if you're pressuring in, someone pressures back, you can, like, toss that, boom, and then boom,
power, though. It's like
not only power, but it's like center of gravity. I would say like learning like momentum, like just basic physics, right? Like you got pressure into you, and you're pressuring,
well, your body in space, like you can control. Yeah. I just feel like that helps boys figure that out,
But I think he's at the perfect age, though. Like I was saying, I think because like he laughs when he gets taken down, and then he'll be like, "Well, let me try now. Let me try." Right? And so like I think that's the kind of the right time to get him in versus like when he's maybe a little bit older, which don't get me wrong, like it's not bad to get him in when he's older, but I didn't start wrestling until I was a freshman in high school. And at that point, like my competitiveness is like peaking, right? It's like top where it's going to be and it's going to stay this level, maybe go up. And, I get taken down 10 times. Well, now I'm pissed because I haven't got a single takedown and I need to figure out how to do it. But I'm more mad because I'm like, I can't get the takedown, and I've gotten taken down 100 times, and you know what I'm saying? So, like, now that he's, like, laughing about getting taken down, okay, cool, stand up, now let me try, kind of thing, I think, like, it's kind of the right time now to get him in versus trying to get him in a year ago or whatever.
Well, no, and that's a good point, because I feel like you just kind of stumbled on something. My brain just got a little spike of dopamine here. Yeah. So, brain bookmark, opening that book. So you're talking about like when you did it later, right? And the competitiveness is there, and then you get pissed.
Yeah, and then like you don't get better. You don't get better when you're pissed.
No, you don't. No. And for me, like that's at eventual, like I mean, I always played sports when I was younger, but you understand that, like, you know, if the way the game's going, you can understand that you might not win this game or whatever. Like, you can mentally wrap your head around it. Or if you're in a match or something, you think of those kids have been thrown on the mat for 15 years, and then now they're in high school. You're like, oh, well, they've been here before. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, if you did, then you're just going to go off the rails because you're getting so mad. And, like you said, you're not getting better. And now you're going to fail more. And then you're going to take it harder. And then all this stuff.
Yeah.
But kids that have been thrown down since they're 5, they understand, like, man, the kid got me that time. But now I know how can I figure out. Like, they're able to stay more calm, you know?
Yep.
And I feel that's
problem-solving things. But so that's why I'm thinking.
I'm not making anything up. I'm sure it's in a book somewhere. I'm just saying.
No, we made that up. Put the ADH dad stamp on that. Boom. You know? But, no, I just think it's the right time now. Because, like I said, like, he's having fun messing around with me. Like, not only is he going to have fun messing around with kids, like, his own age, right? Being able to wrestle, like, kids his size. He'll actually be able to get takedowns. He'll actually be able to try, like, snapping someone. Because he tries to snap my head down. Dude, that kid ain't moving me. He could run into me full force, and he's going to fall down, you know? I'm, like, an immovable object. But
I could beat all the kids with my fingers.
like, literally. But, no, you know, so I think it's the right time to maybe, like, just have him try it out. See if he has fun. And then he's going to make friends, too. And it's crazy. Like, some of those friendships I have from people, like Peanut. Peanut's, like, one of my best friends. And I
shout out to Peanut.
In college. Yep, shout out Peanut. You know, or as my stream calls him, Captain America, you know, because he's saving the world.
Oh, yeah. That's right, yeah.
But, yeah, shout out Peanut, you know. Yeah, dude, me and him, like, we've become, you know, some of the best friends.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of my best friends because we had that... You know, wrestling. We wrestled in college every day. Like, and my college coach, he said something. He goes, if you come in here and you beat the shit out of someone every day for 3 hours a day, and you're bleeding and sweating and crying, and you're just going at it every day, and you don't develop a friendship, there's something mentally wrong with you.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and it's 100% true because, like, you know, they're going to see you at your best. They're going to see you at your worst. And they're, you know, you're with them every day. Like, there's a bond there that's built.
Oh, for sure. I mean, especially with something like that. Like, you think of, like, jiu-jitsu and, like, well, MMA and stuff. Like, think of all the training. There is a partner there. Mm-hmm. You know, and you watch these cage fights, these guys kick the shit out of you. Like, literal shit out of each other. But he had to have practiced on somebody else.
Yeah, no.
And then you got to know, like, I mean, that's just part of it, and they tend to, you know.
I always tell everybody that wrestling is as much of a team sport as it is an individual, right? Because at the end of the day, it's just you on the mat. You versus
I feel like as a whole,
right?
Yes.
But like, I couldn't have been able to do what I do without the people who are on my team, without my teammates wrestling me every day and helping and supporting. So, like, I 100% agree. Now, like, I was a swimmer as well, and, like, they have swim team meets, and honestly, like, yeah, it's a team score, but I would say that's more of that one is individual, right? It's all based on how you do. Like, your team isn't gonna get you better. Like, you're not, you know.
I feel like you could work on just face value, because I didn't do either of those sports. But for me, both. I would look at them actually more similar than you would think, only because yes, it comes down to your specific individual performance, and then yes. Did you practice with a team? Like, you could race people.
Yeah, but I mean, you could race people, but at the end of the day, like, you look at swimming, it's all about technique, right? It's like, how are you entering the water? Like, like I did butterfly, you know, how are you entering the water? Are you too high? Are you pulling too much water here?
Sure.
You know, because your head's coming out too much and you're dragging too much and you're not getting enough. You know? You need to be more, I guess, aerodynamic in the water. I guess I don't know.
Well, and that's where I feel
there's not really a team aspect of that, as to where, like, when you wrestle, like, yeah, it's just you on the mat competing against another person, but, like, your teammate who's cheering you on, like swimming, they're cheering you on. You actually worked out with that teammate. So, like, if I'm not doing something, So if I'm not hitting my shot correctly, it's not just my fault, but it's also my teammate's fault, because my teammate didn't put me in the position to hit the shot. Like, maybe he was just giving it to me. Maybe he was right? So, like, your team can't prep you for a meet, like in swimming or something like that, as they could for, like, wrestling.
Because they can't. I see. Because it's more of the physicality.
Yes,
because like I could race you in the pool,
right?
But that's not.
But, like, my team didn't.
I'm giving you a rabbit to chase. That's all I'm doing. I'm not like, hey man, when you're like, I don't know how you do it. When you got it here, get your arm under here instead. Like,
right.
You're correcting.
Or if I'm hitting a shot and I'm doing it bad. Say my teammates just let me hit a bad shot 1,000 times. Well, now I go into a match. I hit it bad, boom, I'm on my back, I'm pinned.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my teammate let me hit that shot at bat 1,000 times, knowing that it was a bad shot.
Yep.
Right, letting me get in that position, and it's all muscle memory at that point.
Yes.
Right. So like,
because if everybody saw it and nobody said anything, then yeah, that's a problem.
Yes.
It's hard to go at somebody swimming and say, "Hey, man, just swim faster."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or,
Like,
hey,
you're not
and
doing
you can
this
tweak
right.
the technique there in swimming. You can be like, hey, just try this
But
a
you
little
can't
bit. But you
feel
can't.
it.
You're not physically like.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
So because after you do something so many times, it's muscle memory, right? Like
Yes.
after you've done,
absolutely.
after I've done something for years, so I took all last year off. I didn't wrestle a single time. I went in the room this year, and it was all like, it was riding a bike. It was like riding a bike. Just step on, boom, you're ready to go. I'd hit certain positions and just boop, boop, right to my shot, boom, takedown, right? It's muscle memory at this point, right? But like, had I had bad partners who, when I'd get into those positions, would just fall to the ground or, just let it happen, not give me proper resistance.
Yes.
Then that's where it turns in. It gives you that false sense of, like a false sense, like this is going to work.
Yeah, exactly.
This is going to work, and it never works, right? You know, so yeah, I don't know. I love wrestling. I think it's a great sport. I could talk about wrestling all day, every day. I think it's an amazing sport. It teaches you so many things.
Well, like I said, there's so many things I didn't know. And then when you started talking about shots earlier, I didn't know if you were talking about, if you like switched over to basketball, like analogies, because I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess. Because I was thinking like basketball, and then you did the demonstration of you wrestling. I'm like, oh no, he's still talking about wrestling.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, I don't know what a shot is.
This guy's got a
I
problem.
don't know what a shot means.
No, I love wrestling. I think wrestling is like the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life, right?
Sure.
Shout out to Amos, one of my best friends, Amos in Las Vegas. I grew up with him.
Is that his whole handle?
Amos, best
Amos
friend
in
from
Las
Las
Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah, Amos in Las Vegas. Yeah,
like
that's
that.
what we call him. No, he actually got me into wrestling. Like if it wasn't for him, I never would have wrestled. Just because I was like, dude, come play football. He's like, I don't want to play football. I'm like, dude, I need you. You're like my best friend. I got nobody else. If you don't go out for the team, I have no one to talk to. And he's like, all right. So then wrestling season came around, and he was like, dude, if you don't come out for the team, I got no one to talk to. And I was like, all right, I'll do it for you, man. And I did it, and I loved it, dude. It was just like the competitiveness of it,
For sure.
It's crazy. But yeah, no, I love it. Like I said,
I like that. I like the neutralizing, like weight classes that they have.
Mhm.
So like, yeah, because you could be, because like think about it. Not saying you couldn't, right? But you like, what's the biggest class? Like 230 or 200 plus or something. 285. So like, say you go up against somebody that's 225, 240 or whatever, right? A big guy, like 6'4" or whatever. He's a beast. And then you're 5'4", 135 pounds, right? You're wrestling that. It's like, oh my god, like they both wrestle, but I'm like, depending on what could happen. I mean, if the 285 or whatever guy's like huge and he's like really good at it, like even if your technique is flawless, if he could just pick you up and just slam you.
Well, I was gonna say
it's like holy shit.
If that guy who's like 240 in this scenario is wrestling a guy who's 130, if he has any like sliver of wrestling under his belt, he's gonna win that match.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But that's what I love about wrestling, though, is like it truly is for like everybody. Like basketball, you're gonna be a point guard.
I got told I could not. No, I got told I couldn't make the team.
Well,
because I was too small. I
wouldn't
play.
That aspect.
That happened in middle school. I was trying a middle school basketball team.
Yeah.
And he was just like,
yeah. Well, I'm from a small town, so everybody plays.
Yeah, and he's just like, yeah. The coach was like, you're not gonna make the team. You're too small. You're not gonna get playing time. You can be my equipment manager though.
Yeah. Oh, dude, on that. Sorry, side note with the basketball thing. You're pigeonholed. Brain bookmark that. So you're pigeonholed, right? And that's whatever. But I like wrestling because then it's like, okay, you're 135. All right, here's another guy 135. You go against him, and then it's more of like a testament of like where your skills are at and all that stuff. And that's what I really like about that, because because it purely is a face off of like who's better at this sport. You know what I mean? Like you can play basketball, you get lucky on a streak, and I mean if you put the time in, you can be shooting. You can shoot really well, but there's other skills involved. Even football, you could be the top running back, but if you got a shit line, if your cadence is off, if haven't worked with your quarterback, if like it just isn't that day, it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter. You don't get to really show it. But that's where it's cool. That's like, okay, even playing field, go. Yep. Whoever wins.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. So on the side note of like you said you didn't make the team. I was talking to Mel. She said her.
She didn't make the team.
She's never played a team sport, so this is a very touchy subject for me when it comes to my mentality.
Well, like look at it at running too, though. Like, can running against a person make you better?
That exactly. Like, I mean, you
know?
could just run it with somebody, but like, she runs like the long ones.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to race,
She's a distance
I was in
runner.
track, so like, if you want to race, I'll run 200 with you right now. 100 straight up, great. You want to go run 2 miles on a track? I'll see you in 20 minutes. I don't give a shit. Like, I really don't care. And you're just going in a circle. It's
Not
like,
for
oh,
me.
This is time at track meets. It's like, this is time to go eat because I don't care to see who wins this.
Yeah,
Like nobody
it's like
cares.
NASCAR. You know,
Yeah.
they're just going around. We
Well,
can come
cross
back.
country, you don't get to follow them, and they just run into the woods, and you just see them at the end, and you're like, okay, cool, like that was great. I'm glad you had a great time out there. Yeah, it was really competitive. Sure. Oh, did you guys kick each other while you were out there? Huh? Did somebody shove you, give you an elbow?
Sure.
Ooh. Were there refs on the course? I don't know. It makes no sense to me. It's stupid. Anyway, it was just sad because my kid's probably going to be a cross country.
Yeah.
But no, she was saying her boss at work, so she plays volleyball, right? She's been like playing all the AAU leagues and all this stuff. Well, I don't remember how old she is. I think she's like sophomore or junior or something. And they told her to go get her growth plates checked because she's fairly tall. She's probably like 5'9", 5'10" maybe as a girl, which is up there. And the coach though said, go to the doctor, go get an exam and see where your growth plates are. Because if you're done growing, you're not on this team anymore. Straight up. And I
You
was
can't
like,
say that.
that's what I said.
Wait,
I
like
said
so
those exact words.
wait.
Yeah. It's
like,
under the same premise.
If you're done growing, so like
If you're gonna max out at 5'9", you cannot play on my team.
you can't do that.
I mean, they just did it to you.
Well, that was a different time, you know.
I'm just saying. That's what I said though. I go, you can't do that. I'm like, who the hell does that? They're like, well, it's a club league, so the league can decide who plays and who doesn't. And when you have girls coming in that are gonna be 5'11", 6 foot, 6'2" in the cities, he's like, the talent's there. They'll just fill their spot with somebody else. If you cannot get to this level of play, it doesn't matter if you can
So
jump
you
out
can't
of the
get to
room.
this height.
Yep.
You're done.
Yep.
You're out.
Play volleyball. And I'm like, well, what if her vertical's huge? You know, like what if she could just jump really high? Because that would be the argument, right?
Right.
You can't get up there to block and hit and do whatever. And her vertical's up there, but that's just like their standard. They're like, no, we need them at least 5'11" or whatever it is. Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
So like what ended up happening? Did she?
She asked her daughter. She said, we can either go do this, and to be honest, just looking at you, you're probably done growing. So either don't play or next year you just play school ball.
Dude, that's one reason I went to wrestling, right? Because when I tried out for basketball, the coach literally said like, you're not gonna play. If you do play at all, it's not gonna be much because you're too short, like 100%. And now and this was in middle school again, right? And when I tried out, I was on the final cut. Like, I was the only white kid on the team. Like, who made that final cut was on the team.
I don't know why that matters.
I'm just saying, like, I could ball, man. I could ball. But anyways, beside the point, like it was, I don't know, it was cool. But no, he straight up said, like, you're not going to get playing time. And I was just like, well, why not? You know, he's like, well, because you're short. And I was like, there's another kid on the team who's the same height as me. Like, literally, we're the same height. So, like, are you having this conversation with him too? And he was like, well, no, that's a different story. And, like, that was his reasoning to me, right? And so I was really upset.
Talk about a different time.
I was pissed, right?
Well, we know. I'm sure all you at home can fill in the blanks, but we know what was going on. It's already been put out there.
He was like.
But see, people get in trouble when they say it out loud, so we're going to leave the internal voices in there.
Oh, there's a lot. I'm biting my tongue right now.
Hey, man, you just weren't that good. That's fine.
Dude, no, I was good. I made the team, but then the coach was literally like, you're not going to play because you're small. You're short. And that's what he said. And I was like, that kid's the same height as me. Like, why is he going to play as well? And he was like, well, that's a different story. Da 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 da. It's another thing. And that was his excuse to me. So I was pissed. Just faster. Right? I was pissed.
He was just faster. He's just built different, had different
we were the
physiology.
Same. We were the same, like, height, size, weight, everything. Sure. Everything. Whatever. Everything. Anyways. So no, that's why I went to wrestling, because it was the one sport where when I was talking to the wrestling coach, he was like, are you going to wrestle? I was like, I'm like too small. Like, they even told me in football, I was like too small. The coach in football was like, I'm afraid you're going to get hurt. And I was like, if I was afraid I was going to get hurt, I wouldn't have signed the damn waivers to play to play football, like high school football. Like, let me go, you know? Come on, coach. I'm a peacock. Let me fly, you know? Yeah. And
all right, Mark Wahlberg, who's also really tiny.
But no, and then
ripped.
Yeah, wrestling was the one sport where they were just like, my coach was like, you're gonna wrestle, right? And I was like, nah, wrestling's kind of man, I don't want to wrestle. And he's like, I'm like, we could use a little guy. I'm just saying. And Amos pulled the friend card on me that I pulled on him, and it was cool because, like I said, like they didn't look at me because I was too small. Like they wanted me because I was small. They're like, look, like there's a weight class for you because that's the way they do it. Like it's a very inclusive sport. Like it's like it doesn't matter what you weigh. I mean, obviously, if you're over 285, then we got to get you down.
Sure.
Right. You know, we've run into that. We had what was it? One of our heavyweights who was pretty good. He was pushing like 300. And back in our day, it was like you had to get down to 375 or 275. So it wasn't 285. It was 275. So he had to lose 25 pounds in 10 days before we wrestled. And, you know, nowadays they have a bunch of checks and balances in place. So that,
I was going to say, you just wrap them in tinfoil and throw them in the fucking wrestling room for 10 hours a day.
But now they have checks and balances where, like, after your weight certs,
it's really just safety.
They give you literally, and based on your body fat, it's like in college. I did my weight certs. I weighed 129. They said I could go down to 125, but I could only lose like something. It was like 1 pound a week or something. So it was going to take me 4 weeks to get down to 125. But then once I'm at 125, like that's what I have to weigh in at tournaments. If I weighed in above that, it would reset. So like the weight. So like say I came in at 126. Well, now it reset the weight cert to 126, and I have to wait a whole nother week before I can get back down to 125 because it's all based on your body fat and like your weight and everything like that. Crazy. So no, I mean yes and no, but I mean you had kids who were cutting, you know.
But when you're talking about
20 pounds, in a week,
you're talking about athletic kids though.
Yeah, but I mean there were kids who were like dying. And stuff. Like kids died because they were, you know.
I'm just saying though, like a pound. I mean, I probably gained a pound with Chipotle today, and then
I'm gonna lose that quick.
I'm gonna lose that tonight. So it's like, what, I gotta wait a week to take a shit?
So
like,
that's
you know
that's what it. And I don't know.
I get it.
It's a good checks and balance. It's a good check and balance kind of thing, like to make sure you're not cutting away. But like that's what I loved about wrestling though. It was like no matter what size you were, you had a spot on the team. No matter what, like it doesn't matter your skill level, anything. Like whatever size you are, there's a spot on the team for you, and that's what I love. It's not like ooh, you're too short, you can't play basketball. Like, oh, you're too small, I'm afraid you're gonna get hurt in football. Like,
well, and that's what I mean. Like you would never be, like. In basketball, especially, because that's probably the sport I played the most. But I mean, you just size people up and be like, all right, they're probably this, whatever. I mean, you could have the most wild small guy, but he's never going to be your center. Right. I will out-rebound the shit. I'll stand there and I'll rebound him the whole game. You know, because I'm 6'3", 200. It's like, dude, you're not going to get the rebound. I'm going to get it every time. Like, I'm glad that you worked really hard for this. But you're not gonna get it, you know, like
kudos to you.
Yeah, but track was a nice one though, where I didn't necessarily feed into it 100%. It was definitely there. There was things to kind of get in the right ranges, you know, like hurdles and stuff, or like pole vault or whatever. But you know, like running though, I mean, hey man, I didn't give a shit if you're 4 feet tall or 8 feet tall. If you could just run the best for that event, you're in. So it gave a lot of people opportunity. But again, back to our children. I think that's what we want. I mean, I just want them to play something.
Right.
You know, I don't care really what it is. I'd like them to do the stuff I did, but if they don't do something completely different, that's fine. Right. I think we talked about that too.
No, we've mentioned that before. The competitive aspect, the team building, the stuff you get, the discipline, the things like that you get from a sport. Yeah.
Well, and part of me is like, I kind of want them to do something different. I think I mentioned this maybe before, but it's more of I want them to just. Maybe I get to live through that too now. You know, instead of like I never had a cross country team. I've never been to a cross country meet in my entire life. So we made fun of those kids. So for me, it's like you go to these meets. It's like, okay, let's say he does. Well, now I get to go. I get to go experience that.
Doesn't mean you have to stop making fun of him though.
No, I will. But it's gonna be, you know, it's the same with like wrestling kids. Like we told you that. I think we talked about all this last week. But that's where, I mean, I made fun of wrestling kids too. I mean, you know, you guys check each other's oil and wear leotards all day. I don't know. It's weird.
It's awesome.
Okay? It's weird.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. I've always said when Ollie wrestles, nobody checks the oil like this. You freaking weirdo. Everybody knows who wrestles. Whatever. Anyways, I always said like if Ollie wrestles that I don't want to coach anymore. I want to go to the tournaments to enjoy the tournaments. I want to be there in his corner, like. You know, watching him from the stands, but I don't know. Part of me like.
Let's say you could literally be in his corner.
But on the mat. But what I mean by in his corner, I mean like. I don't want to be the one, because I know what that's like, right? Like I know winning, losing, all that stuff. Like, I don't know. Part of me, I'm conflicted because part of me wants to like enjoy the whole wrestling meet, right?
Sure.
Or enjoy being able to be there for all his matches, without having to worry like, oh shoot, I have a kid on this mat, kid on this mat, kid on this mat. Well, I'm gonna take my kid, and then it shows favoritism, and you don't want that in the.
Can't think about that.
But you kind of do, right? If there's 4 kids going and there's 3 coaches, and you're like, well, I'm coaching my kid. Like, what do you guys do? You know? No, I don't want to do that. But then at the same time, I'm conflicted because then, yeah, I could be in his corner. I could help him. I could teach him what I know, right? And I feel like I don't know a lot, but I feel like what I do know is what I'm saying. You know, what I do know, like I could pass on to him. You know, I could like, you know, and I don't want him to be as good as me. I want him to be better than me. You know what I'm saying? And, like, I could teach him to be better than me. You know, I feel. But, anyways, go ahead.
So, I feel I can lay a little bit of this for you. Coach your kid. Only because if you don't, then you're at the mercy of somebody else doing it. And say, like you said, you're going to pass all the information down. What if the coach doesn't agree with your technique and the way you teach it? Then it doesn't matter. Then it's gonna be against him when he tries to do that in a match or a meet or whatever they're called. So, I would say coach your kid. And only because my mom coached for 35 years. She had to coach my sister all the way through high school. And yes, the favoritism thing, nepotism, all that stuff comes into play. Mom held tryouts. So whoever the top performing kid was, completely based on
So what if your
skill
sister
level,
did really bad?
then she wouldn't have made the team.
Like
my
100%,
sister,
would your mom have cut your sister?
absolutely. Well, we didn't have cuts. But either way, she would have made it, but she wouldn't have been as top. My sister was the second ranked out of freshman to senior in high school. She placed second. She earned that spot. So she played. And yes, how many parent emails come out of everywhere? Like, you're just doing this because your kid, my kid's a senior, which I don't care for parents out there. I don't give 2 shits if your kid is a senior and that means they should be on varsity. No. It is 100% a performance thing. I don't care. I don't care if your kid played for 8 years and they just still sucked. They're not going to play varsity.
No,
and it's okay to play JV. That's fine. You got to earn your spot.
Yeah.
Because that was a huge thing. Seniors get to win or get to play on varsity. No, they don't.
Well, wasn't that like a rule or something? Wasn't there like seniors couldn't be on the JV team or something like that? Wasn't there like a?
Nope. Every school is up to their own interpretation of it. So it's junior varsity. It's not the winning team. And if anything, varsity is the one thing that you put your best people to play.
Well,
because that's the one thing to play. JV, not saying you don't, but there's no like JV championship. You know, like it's varsity. So. Either way, sorry, get off track because it's a heated thing that. No, that's. I
agree with that. You have to earn your spot, man. Nothing's given.
But I would say my dad coached me till I was, I think, middle school, and then had other people do it. But there was one thing that my mom said, my dad said, and then even a guy at work, because we were talking about Jackson coming through sports and stuff, and they're asking me now to help coach like football and soccer and all these things, and I'm like, I really don't. It's when they're that young, it's just a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's just Saturdays, and you're giving up a lot of time to do it. But he just that's what the same information that my mom said is what he told me. And he's like, listen, if you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it. And then just so you know, you're going to have to shut your mouth the whole time. You won't be able to say anything. Otherwise, now you become that parent writing the letters in, complaining about your kid and doing that because you don't agree with what they said. He's like, just do it, so then it's just you. And you can figure it out. And you have enough knowledge to do it. Do that. Then you can run your whole fucking team. And then your kid can be proud that your dad's a coach. Yes, there's going to be times he's going to hate it, because I definitely did. And so did my sister. And like all this stuff. But then there's other things that you take away that are best.
Right.
So my TED Talk, thank you guys for coming.
That does make a lot of sense.
I would say coach your kid.
I'm not going to lie. I do
have to have somebody else do it.
I do kind of agree with that, right? Like, because I don't.
It's only based on what you said, though, because when you said all the stuff I can pass down, I can teach them, I can do this.
Well, I can.
Well, then just coach them.
100% I can. But like I said, I don't know. I don't want to have to play the side of like the favoritism thing. Like I don't want
Don't
the
make it fair.
emails
Make it as fair as you possibly can.
Oh, I do. I mean,
no, that's what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Like just so if anybody does come at you and be like, "Well, Ollie's playing," and you're like, "Yeah, because he earned that spot."
Right.
Well, my
I
kid earned it.
think the other thing too in wrestling too is like you can't really call the favoritism there, right? Like because like you wrestle off for the spot. Like you wrestle the kid. Like the 2 kids will wrestle, and
so
the winner gets the varsity.
All 4 of them are Ollie's size. I would assume there's a way to, all right, whoever wins, win. And you know what? Ollie loses, guess what?
No, they wrestle off, yeah. It'll be
it's
like, all
even
right,
better,
you
though,
two are wrestling,
if he doesn't
boom.
make it. Because then and you're the coach, and he didn't make it, you're going to be pissed. You're probably going to talk to him when you get home. But at the same time, he's going to be so mad, he's going to work that much harder next time. You know? You know, but again, if you got to stay out of that though, because then we see coaches that show favoritism to the guy who has a beer at the bar with the coach, the kid who their kids are friends, so they hang out.
Mm-hmm.
They get looked after. They get taken care of. It's like nope.
But that's
stay neutral.
Like I said, that's the other thing. Is like it's as
very
much
passionate
of it,
about this.
As much of a team sport as individual, right? Because individually it comes down to you and him, but your team had to prep you for that match, right? Sure. So then. And like I said, I know we're circling back to this. We've circled back to it like 3 times, but like even making that varsity lineup, like it's a wrestle off. Like there's nobody else but you and the guy you've been working out with all week. Like you guys are gonna wrestle. Like you guys are gonna wrestle. We'll do wrestle offs like every other week or something like that, right? So you hold the spot for. I think in college we did it. You held the spot for 4 meets, right? So that could be a duel, 2 tournaments, and this little thing over here.
Bring that to
right?
the thing. If you have kids that have a bunch, then
so
put
it's
it
like
on
hey, like. Okay, you're going to be JV now for the next 4 meets, or 3 or 4 meets, depending on what it was. And then it was like, okay, we're going to have wrestle-offs now. Who wants to wrestle? And you give them the opportunity. You say, who wants to wrestle? You don't say, you and you are wrestling. You say, who wants to wrestle? And then, sometimes you'll have the kid who's ranked like 2 in the state, 1 in the state, and then the other kid, and they're like, yeah, I'm not wrestling him because he's the best kid in the state.
But imagine if he got beat. I'm just saying.
I mean, even in there,
there's
still
movies out of that,
there's still some of those
just out of nowhere, random.
Did he get caught? Did he roll through on something? Pin him? It's one of those. But if you held the spot, though, it was a 2 out of 3, right? So
now,
it was.
Keep in mind, we are talking about varsity high school type events.
Yes.
When you're talking about a 5-year-old to 10-year-old, when you're talking about those, it's even play. Yes.
Yeah.
We're teaching techniques.
Throw them out there.
See, I'm not saying like if your kid sucks when he's 5.
That's
don't play the sport.
That was one of my biggest gripes too. Like in high school, right? Like our football team. Like it's freshman football. Everybody should play.
Sure.
Absolutely. Everybody should play a quarter of the game. Whatever it is, put them out there. You could be winning by 100. You could be losing by 100. Everybody should play. That wasn't like it at our school. They were just like, no, we got to win. It's like, for what? Exactly. We aren't going to a playoff game. We aren't going to a state championship. Like, everybody should play to get some experience so that when we move on to that next level, we know a little bit more of like, hey, this and this versus like, no, well, this is my favorite kid and I really like that kid. And you saw a lot of that favoritism in like football and some of those other team sports and stuff like that for sure.
Well, and you need to understand the level that you're coaching and not that I'm just some tyrant here. I did go to college and I do have a degree in coaching, the science of coaching. I did actually get one, and one of the things we studied was the philosophy of your coaching, and a lot of we spent so much time on that where it's like know the level that you're coaching. So like, it's going to be beehive soccer if you're coaching 5th graders, 4th graders. I mean, nobody really gets all that skill. It's just
that like beehive where they're all just kind of all over. Yeah,
you gotta understand the skills, and you might have 5 people. And like my mom would tell you too. She's like, when I coached 7th grade, she's like, at the beginning of the year in volleyball, we had 1 girl get the ball over the net. The goal for this year, this whole season of volleyball, is I want to get at least 10 girls to hit the ball over the net on a serve. Like that's the goal. Like you have to bring it down.
Oh
to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And and you get those teachers, those parents, and a lot of people volunteer, so you don't want to like hammer them so hard. But some do get paid, some don't. But it's like when you're doing freshman ball, you're right. It's not like you don't give a shit. You still want to teach them stuff. So that
everybody needs to have a chance.
But they need to have a chance to play. Yes.
Right.
You can't just be like, no, we're gonna win. I mean, if the game's on the line, and it's like you're down by a point, you need your best 5 out there, and there's 3 minutes left in the basketball game. Put your best 5 in. Just.
3 minutes left, down by 1.
No, 3. I'm sorry. I started with football, and then I'm like, well, football's not easy to score in, so I switched to basketball because I was like, well, if you're down by a point.
Like the big thing is like it. At the end of the day, nobody goes back and looks at like, oh, our freshman team went, we went undefeated, but then when we got to JV, we lost every, nobody's looking at that. Nobody's looking at like where we were at, or what we did as freshmen, right? So everybody should be out there playing. Yep. Everyone should get a chance, and
you're gonna run into favoritism. You are. Coaches just like kids better. It is what it is. But if you can prove it, if you can hold a standard, I think the Prescott coach we got now. He's doing a great job. It's a pretty big bench. There's a lot of players for a 5-person game, but he's got the weapons, and he sets such a program that like, if it's your time to shine, it's your time to shine, and he'll put you out there and he'll give you a chance. Now, if you fuck it up, he'll talk about it.
But you got a chance.
But you got a chance. He'll give you that opportunity at the varsity level, which is great.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And right now, my cousin, shout out to Ian, he's been actually killing it. He's got the game ball a couple times. He's actually been killing it.
Let's go.
The last few games.
Hey, shout out Ian. Let's go.
We're trying to get him.
Go watch
he's a senior now, so we're trying to get him. I remember when he was Jackson's age, watching him and stuff and hanging out. So Anyway, we get really passionate about sports and stuff.
Yeah, sports, guys.
I loved how we wanted to
sports
talk about like other stuff. We're like, dude, this is for the
but
podcast.
honestly, like
we're talking about what, flat Earth and like all these. He's like, dude, save that. We're gonna talk about that on the podcast. And then now we're talking about coaching for 40 minutes.
No, dude. We can wrap this all into like the season of betterment, though, too, right?
Yes,
like we're talking about getting better.
Yes.
Like
That was
wrestling
perfect clap,
has
by the way.
made me better. It was actually like,
That was
which
amazing.
I don't
That was
think
perfect.
in a million years we could ever time that
was
again.
amazing.
Anyways, but no, like wrestling has made me better, right? And
Yeah.
I'm still doing it to this day.
Mhm.
To this day, right? And I started when I was 13.
Mhm.
I've been wrestling for 21 years.
Well, and the sad thing is,
My
like,
wrestling experience can drink
well, it's like
legally.
figure that out. Like for me, I probably played since like second, third grade, like every sport I play. So it's been a while, you know. And you're like, God. And the hard thing is, like, can you imagine that you start at 13? Can you imagine if you start at 8?
Dude,
Or 7?
I mean, I am a stud, but like I would be a little bit more of a stud.
I'm just saying.
Like just saying.
But
They
I
didn't really
feel-
offer youth in Nevada.
Well,
it's
in
a
getting
whole thing.
getting into business side of it and like higher ability. I mean, Mel and I were talking about schools and stuff as far as our kids you know, I forget what you call that, furthering their education like past high school, wherever they wanted to do. We're not saying they're gonna go do it, but we don't care what it is. So
Right, yep.
if they want to be like a graphic designer, then we'll find a school that'll facilitate that. I went to a 4-year liberal arts college. I don't think you need to go to those.
It is
I
what
think
it
if Jackson wants to be a plumber, I'll send him to 2-year tech school.
Dude,
I-
they
you know, like-
get him in the trades, man. From
That's
what
what
I
I'm
hear,
saying,
from
like-
what I hear, the trades, that's the way to go.
But that's what I'm
to be
saying.
honest.
Figure out what they want to do.
Oh, yeah,
and then
100%.
point them in that direction. Not being like, you need to go to a 4-year school.
Yeah, no.
You need to go get a 4-year
You're
degree.
gonna do this.
You
You're gonna
don't.
do this. You know.
Well, and and I want them to play sports too, because you'd be surprised how many times that gave me a leg up and how many times it gave other people I hired as a leg up when I was a manager and had to hire people. If I hired a kid that was going to work part-time for me, closing most nights, whatever, and they were like, hold on, just so you know, all these days of the week I got football or, you know, whatever, I'm like, immediately they went to the top of the list only because of everything that we've talked about that it teaches you.
yes.
The working hard, I can rely on him to show up when I need him to show
Yep.
up. You know, he understands being part of a team, working hard. He can get that. And yeah, there's duds, but that gave someone, it's like other people leg up. And I'm not
yeah.
trying to be unfair to the others that didn't, but fill out your resume.
Yeah,
Like,
100%.
just do a bunch of shit when they're
100%.
let your kids do
yes.
a bunch of stuff,
Yep.
and then just throw it all on there and just see where they land.
One thing I'm really glad my dad instilled in me too, because I started wrestling, and I remember my freshman year, I was just like, I'm gonna quit, because I kept losing, right? But I was 80, dude. I was.
That's fair. I mean, that's
I was-
fair. It's
I
not
was
fun.
89 pounds, like soaking wet with rocks in my pockets. Like I did a 4'9", 85 pounds, like on a good day, right? I was. So you know how a lot of wrestlers.
How big Arya is right now.
She's 95 pounds. But no, as a freshman in high school, and so like no wrestling experience, I'm going up against kids who are like 103 pounds, like solid 103s. They're literally just picking me up, setting me down, pinning me. Right? I'm like, what the,
Well,
you know?
15 pounds.
So like I'm like upset about it, like whatever. I'm like, I want to quit. And my dad turned around. He's just like, no. Like you're not quitting. Like you started this, you will finish it. At the end of the year, we can talk about it. But for this season, like you're locked in. Like you do not quit something you start. And like he was 100% just that's what you're doing. And I was just like, so he made me do it. And shout out to Dad. You know, thank you for because like that like no quit mentality is very like really carried over to I think everything that I do. You know, but like had I quit wrestling, I don't think I'd be here today. I 100% wouldn't be because I never would have wrestled in Iowa. At the small school in Iowa, I never would have moved up to Minnesota. I never would have. We never would have the ADH Dads podcast. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's the message for the day. Never quit. Absolutely. Never quit, guys. Finish it out. Just finish the season. Finish the. You know what I'm saying? Season of betterment.
You talk about dad knowledge. That's what my dad dropped on me too, because track is a spring sport, and I just like I only really went to track to stay in shape. And I was fast and stuff, but like. It's not a very fun sport to play.
No.
It's not. It's constant running and training all the time. It's not very fun to play. So for me, I only did it. Well, then senior year comes around. You know, football ended, cried my eyes out. Basketball ended, cries my eyes out. All right, the big sports I played great. And then I was like, well, I got track in the spring. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere after this to play track. And I told my dad, I said, well, how about we just do golf for the spring sport. I mean, they always had it, but I just never played it. And I'm like, I think that would be fun. It's something I can do after school and whatever. And my dad was like, he gave me the choice. He said, I don't care what you do. Because his rule was like, you had to do something. Yep. You had to pick any sport, and you had to pick something. I don't care what it is. But he goes, but just think of it this way. You've already given your coach 3 years plus of your time to this sport. I think you kind of owe it to him for your senior year. And I was like, okay. Well, then we went out for track, and it was one of my best years, I think. Both the most fun I had with it. I don't know if it was maybe just knowing it was going to be done, but like I was in the best shape of my life. We gave our best effort for our 4x2 going to state. Almost lost in sectional finals, but it was like, it was fun, and I'm glad I did it. But
yeah,
that's like that dad thing. He's like, you can do what you want, because trust me, going out for golf, you had free golf.
Yeah, literally, like you just go and hit golf balls on the driving range.
The kids that would play golf in high school, they're like, this is like the best thing you could ever do. And I'm like, it's free all the time. So yeah, but I'm glad he said it, and I'm glad we did it. So, but yeah, it's true dad stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So anyway, flat Earth has a good argument. All right.
No, we were talking about that a little earlier.
Segue.
Yeah, we should. Gosh, I don't even know if we have enough time to get into it. We're at
like an hour,
almost. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson. That was what got us.
Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson, dude. Neil deGrasse. I listen to everything that man says. Everything he says.
I like the way he describes stuff.
A lot of people get mad. They're like, "Yo, he dumbs it down and da da da." He talks. I'm like, "Well, yeah, he dumbs it down because you're a dummy. Like, yeah, I'm a dummy too. I appreciate the fact he dumbs it down."
I'm not saying he knows everything 100%, but he is a person that studies this for.
Everyone's like, "No, he just talks to talk. Like, keep yapping." I'm like, dude, he's like talking to.
Because he knows a bunch of stuff. If you ever watch him on like Joe Rogan's is the big one where we'll be sitting here and he'll catch Joe saying something and he just like corrects him on the spot. Now a lot of people don't like that, but it's factual. He's correct.
Yeah.
And he's just like, and he's there to like, oh, there you go. He's not saying like, oh, fucking idiot.
Yeah, he's dumbass. Like,
he's
no.
Just like, no. He's like, well, now you know.
Oh, actually, it was because of this.
He loves to educate you. He's like, well, now you know.
Yeah.
Now you'll know for next time.
Yeah, there you go.
That's something you learned today.
Literally. Like, no, I love it. I love it. No, he's great. No, we were talking about that, and then I don't know why, but like on my like TikTok feed and stuff like that, it's been a lot of just like flat Earth stuff. Oh, now let me tell you, I'm a glober. Right?
Yeah,
I believe we live on a sphere, on a giant blue marble. Yep. I believe it. This pictures in space. I believe we went to the moon. I believe all that stuff, right? But you go to these arguments, like I just kind of started listening, right? Like they bring up a lot of just like valid points. Like it's like they like their arguments are pretty good if you listen to some of the like the good ones, right? Like flat Earth. I'm not saying like they're right because I don't believe they are, but like you listen to their arguments and they bring up a lot of like valid points.
I mean, I would want, because here's the thing: is like it sucks because it's nothing that you actually can prove. Like there's a good chance.
Well, you can.
You're never gonna,
you just got to go to space.
Yeah, there's a good chance though. You're never going to go to space. I'm never going to go to space. That's just something that's going to happen. Maybe in the future, who knows? But there's a good chance you'll never will.
Right.
So you'll never truly get to go out far enough to look back and see the blue marble. You probably never do that. So now we have to rely on other people, and then obviously things can be altered. Whatever, AI is crazy.
Dude, let's buy a GoPro and shoot it up.
What I'm saying, but it's never going to go as high. But you're never going to get out of the.
No, we don't have to get out of it. But if we can get high enough to prove the curve, then that's all you need.
But that's the thing, though. Then there's already so many people that try to do this. The guy that jumped out of the little thing that's so high for the
the Red Bull
jump,
thing.
Yeah, but then they're always going to blame it on the lens of the camera. They're always going to blame it on this. Like you have to physically go up there. But then again, you're never getting high enough that you could actually, for the most part, see the curve anyway. Because you're so like, if it's a marble, if it's a cue ball, right? You are like a millimeter. The highest we would go, or like the satellites, are like 2 millimeters off that ball. So it doesn't even matter. You can't even see it.
Right.
So you'd have to go out to like literally like half the distance to the moon, or like to the moon, to then look back and go, oh, it's that big. But you won't. So the other side of it is like flat Earth. Like why doesn't Elon? It's because everybody, I think it would be cool if there was a wall that like hid
a big ice
Antarctica.
wall.
Yeah, and then there was more continents passed with like other like creatures and people and stuff like that. That would be insanely cool to me. But why doesn't somebody then? Because you can't fly in Antarctica, you can't go down there, you can't do a bunch of things. Just have Elon create a satellite and just literally on his own money do a live feed, and then just go and just scan Antarctica. Just have it fly by over, because they're in space. Have them do whatever they want, and just fly over Antarctica several times and just map the whole thing, and just be like, "Look, guys, this is what it is."
No,
it would
they
end
mapped
the
it
argument.
out already. Like it
According to who?
I'm just saying.
Google Earth.
All I'm saying
I
is
mean,
like
Google Earth doesn't give you a flat Earth function.
flat earthers have like very compelling arguments,
I
and
know,
like they
but
bring
then
up a
just
lot of
prove
very
it.
good points. But
When you could prove that, just do it then. Just have somebody just say, you know what? Fuck all you guys talking about this shit. Here we go. Rocket. Look at. See, it is or it is not. All right, now we can stop talking about it.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
no,
Like,
because then you'd still have the people, the conspiracy theorists who
take them with.
They
Take them with. That's what I'm saying. Like, you could literally prove it. Just take them with and go. You're relying on too many other people to feed you information. I went down a really bad rabbit hole where it's like,
I'm just saying, I'm a
everything you think
glober.
of, everything
Nothing
you think of
yeah.
has been told to you, taught to you from somebody else that you don't know, and it just is what it is. And they go, hey, it's just science. And you're going, okay. You don't know. Who knows? But there are times I look at the moon, and when, it is very odd that you see the same side of the moon.
It's tidally
whole time.
locked, dude.
No, it's, wow.
It is.
Is that what it's called?
It's
Tidally?
tidally locked. It's stuck.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
It's
So
sta-
it moves at the same
Yeah,
space.
it will never.
But
it
how did it do
spins
that?
the same
Yeah, how to do
because
that?
of-
There's no other
where
planetary
it's
thing that does
at,
that.
where it's at, like in space, it's tidally locked to the Earth. You're always going to see the same face. That's like we're two.
I know,
planets
it's
are
spinning
just-
at the same time it's rotating, right?
They'll spin
Yes.
the same.
But nothing else is like that.
That's not true. There's a lot of stuff like that. They found other planets and stuff like that.
They're not.
Yes, they are.
They're not. You can see it.
You know, one argument though.
I mean, okay,
hang on.
To say
Take
that
it to
in
your
all
point.
space it doesn't exist, you're right. Who knows?
No,
You're right.
so I did see the argument about how like they were talking about like how the sun's gravitational reaches all the way to Pluto but doesn't affect the moon, kind of thing. Like I did see something along that, and like I said, I can't quote it, right? Because I didn't.
Yeah.
I can't quote it,
Talk
but
about the gravity waves. But yeah.
well, no, like how like it can keep Pluto in orbit, but it has like it's not having like a pull kind of thing on the moon. Like Earth pulls more on the moon than the sun does, but the sun can pull Pluto, which is all the way out, and so like I said, they have a lot of compelling argument. They're like, okay, but again, like I said, I'm a glober. I don't care. Like,
Well, no.
I
See,
believe
my
it,
argument with the whole deal with the moon is a flat Earth argument. Because, like, why is that? That is really weird. And then to look at, we've already talked about it, but the distance, that's why the moon and the sun look like they're the same size. Because how odd is it that the distance from the Earth to the moon is proportionally different to the distance from the Earth to the sun,
how odd-
so that they happen to be the same size, even though the sun is how many thousand times bigger than the Earth. But it just so happens that the distance is correct, that this is
for
so
the
far
sun
enough
can
at the
block
same ratio.
the moon can block out the sun.
Yep, and so they're the same size. That's odd. That's
Listen,
weird.
Listen,
That's what I'm saying. That's a flat Earth
how
argument.
how weird
And
is
I'm
it
like,
that
hey, that is kind of
that
weird.
life is created on Earth? How that we just happen to be in this habitable zone?
There's a lot of stuff there too, but I mean, yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? That where we just happen to be in this habitable zone where carbon-based life forms can exist,
But a
right?
lot of
And
things
then
have happened,
and then
but,
we
yeah.
are at the point where we're at to where we like run the world, right? Where human beings run the world,
Yeah.
right? You know, imagine a society bear sitting back there like, we attack on Tuesday. No, no.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like I was watching. It was Joe Rogan again. He's talking. I can't remember the guy's name. I'll forget it. But he was talking about like, do you think there's life out there? And he put it in reference of time. And he said that like, I feel like, yes, we're the life forms right now. We exist on a planet in this solar system. Now, who's to say that one happens to hit the same marks? Who knows? And we'll never know. But he said, that, I'm not saying there never can't be other life in the universe. I'm saying that the amount of time that we've existed on this planet, humans have, with full functioning brains and everything, able to, it is such a speck in time that who's not to say that just 1 million years ago, Mars had life that lived an entire civilization, an entire ages of years, of thousands and thousands of years, and then died out and whatever, and then there was nothing, and then all of a sudden, Earth started, and then it's like the amount of time that humans have been alive is such a speck in the whole globalness of time not global universe of time, that I'm sure there's a bunch of these everywhere, but none of them line at the same time. So he said the real question would be, do you believe that there's there's extraterrestrial life out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's like, because I guarantee you there's life out there.
There has to
but
be.
Is it existing in the same time right now that we could go meet it? That's what you should be asking.
I think the craziest thing to me is that, like, you look up at the night sky, you see all the stars. That's how they looked thousands of years ago, right? Every star in the sky could have blown up and become a black hole by now, but we're just seeing it now because the light is just hitting us. You know, that's crazy. Like, to put that in perspective, like looking at the sun, it's like you're looking 8 minutes into the past. Like, if you look up and look at this, don't look at the sun, guys. Disclaimer: don't go out and just look at the sun.
Or do it. It's your life.
I mean,
there's those people out there that show their buttholes to the sun every day. So I don't know.
What?
You never see that? No, they get their perineum.
What?
You've never seen those people that do
that? What are you talking about?
Yeah, they tan their perineum. I'm not kidding. They show their taint to the sky, and apparently it's the biggest dose of D you can get.
All right, I think that's where we gotta call it right there.
I'll tell you what, we're gonna get into this later. All right? No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Anyways, guys,
Look it up.
I don't want to. I don't.
I'll send you pictures.
Yeah, I bet you're probably one of them.
I look good, man. Just saying.
Yo, look good, feel good, right?
Look good, feel good, baby.
Hey. But all right, guys. I think we'll go ahead and end her there. Thanks everyone for popping into the podcast.
Keep it up out there.
Yeah, keep it up.
Just, if you guys get it, share in the comments here. What's your 15 minutes a day? What did you do this week that bettered you? Whether it was, you helped your spouse do a couple more things, or you did 10 push-ups a day, or whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever. Maybe you took 15 minutes to just sit in a room in silence.
Yeah,
maybe that's what bettered you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So whatever it is, man. Let us know down in the comments below what you guys are doing to make yourself better. But yeah, I think that kind of does it. Shout out Victorious POD, and the Game Boys. Go check them out. They are a fantasy football / video game podcast / YouTube channel. So check them out if you're into fantasy football. I know the season's kind of drawing near the end here. Go Cowboys.
Go Pack. Had a shit showing this last week.
But yeah, other than that, shout out Joe Rogan Experience.
Rogan Experience.
Two Bears, One Cave.
Absolutely.
You guys want us on, or you want to come on?
It'd be great.
Let us know.
Like I said, we can set up whatever.
Phone call.
2 minutes, 10 seconds.
That's
whatever.
Fine.
We'll throw our phones in the river after.
A big FU, whatever you want to tell us. That'd be great.
You guys fucking suck. Yes, they're talking about us.
Guys.
That's
when you made it when you have haters. That's 100% what I say.
But see, we love them, so it'd be kind of
exactly.
It would be hurtful, but we would
exactly. Other than that, I guess there we go,
guys.
Keep killing it, guys. Hey,
Stay
everybody, just remember, you have survived all of your worst days. Remember that.
Absolutely. And guess what? Regardless of how you feel today, that sun's still going to rise tomorrow.
100%.
You cannot change. I mean, according to our global structure. But if if it's a flat
Earth,
we don't know. Maybe the lantern will come back. We don't know.
Yeah.